those are two individuals that are highly involved in the Governor's Challenge and also instrumental in leading the way that we're doing this work as we serve our transitioning service members, veterans, and families. So thank you. Larry?
I've had the good fortune of working on the Governor's Challenge since it started in 2019. I think at this point, every state, every territory in the US has a Governor's Challenge. I think we can pretty wholeheartedly say that ours is the best for a lot of different reasons, because we have such a strong community behind it. One of the things that we kind of took on as a mantra or a phrase early on is we want to create a no wrong door approach for veterans who are in need of care, especially around the issue of suicide. And I think we've done that in many ways. One, in terms of welcoming more veterans in the care, but two, having such a strong team behind us. We have folks from our legislative arm, we have folks from the federal government, the state government, we have community members, we have tribal representatives, we have folks from the Department of Health and various other departments, and it's a wonderful opportunity to really cross the lines that exist in our work and come together for a common cause and a common thing. So it's been a wonderful honor, and we look forward to continuing this work.
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you everyone for allowing me to be here today among this wonderful group of people that are very passionate. What you see here today is just reflective of the passion and what we're here to do is to serve those who serve. Suicide and death by suicide impacts all of us very deeply, whether it's a neighbor, a friend, a family member, and it can be very profound on the community. So all those that you see here today are representative of a larger group as part of the Washington State Governor's Challenge to end suicide among service members, veterans, and their families. It is such a strong, profound, passionate thing that we are doing. It is important work, and we appreciate Governor Ferguson's commitment to helping us prolong our duties and our ability to serve. And so thank you for having us here today, and thank you again for your continued support in what we do.
Thanks, Nicole. David, you want to say a few words about the work of this important group and effort?
Sure. I think I'll continue with what Nicole was talking about. I think if we were to ask everybody in this room right now, if you know someone or if you've been impacted by suicide, we could all raise our hands. I think it's the work that we've been doing that's been very profound is for us to be able to ask the question, are you thinking about committing suicide? Are you thinking about harming yourself? And I think those are the things that are really important. Not only the training that we do, but that our community partners and all around the state and the community about this, that's important for us to be able to have that conversation, because I know a lot of us do a lot of reflecting and thinking after we find out that someone took their life or died by suicide, and you start thinking and looking back about what are those things, what could I have done? Sometimes we blame ourselves. I mean, I know personally I've had an experience at a previous agency where I had to have a really tough conversation and call their mom and dad and talk about that. So, and you start reflecting a little bit about those things. And I think the work that this group and the community is doing behind this to serve our veterans, service members, and families is really essential so that we can reduce the veteran suicide, because whether it's 17 a day or 22 a day, depending on the data that you're looking at, it's still a lot. So we have a ways to go. And for me, it's just an honor to continue to serve the community and our population in this space. So thank you very much for the support, Governor.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So I'll just add a few words, but first, thanks to David, Larry, and Nicole for your words and the hard work that you all engage in. So it's so appreciated. And to everybody who's here today, I think someone captured it well, right? There's all sorts of different organizations and leaders from different sectors who are all here today, and I really appreciate that. Number two, I think I'll just say a few words. I come from, as David knows, my family going back many generations been very involved in military service. My father was a veteran. I'm from a large family, lots of uncles and aunts on both sides of my family. All my uncles served during World War II. I've often said, as a kid, I did not have to read about, the Normandy invasion or the Battle of the Bulge or the sinking of the Quincy from a history book. My uncles were there and many other places. Thankfully, all survived physically, returned home. And we're grateful for that as a family. Both my grandfathers served in different wars, and going back, as David knows, all the way to the Union Army and the Civil War, great grandfather. So I'm very proud of that. of that service. And so I think anyone who's in elected office, I think we gravitate towards issues where you have some personal connection. And I think for me, certainly, issues related to veterans generally have been important to me, but I think especially with suicide prevention, because as you mentioned, like so many folks, one of my uncles who served in the war, he was on the Quincy, and at the Battle of Savo Island, which turned out to be the greatest naval disaster in U.S. history, as many of you may know, the Quincy was struck in the middle of the night by a torpedo, and it sunk quickly. And he was a radio man. My Uncle Don was a radio man. And so he was in a room with another individual, and as the boat was sinking, they couldn't get out. Something had damaged the ship in such a way that the door was jammed in some way and they couldn't get out, which I can only imagine must be a terrifying experience. And someone running by in all the bedlam and the noise and all that must have been going on, they were banging with a wrench on the doors, you can imagine, trying to get someone to hear them. And after what I'm sure it seemed like a very long time, someone must have pushed the door open. They never knew who it was, but somebody running by heard them and pushed the door open. So he got out, and I don't know exactly how many individuals died, but it was a few hundred individuals died. A great loss of life. They were in the water for quite some time. I've read reports of the situation. There were sharks, is my understanding, and this must have been an incredibly terrifying experience for him. He survived that experience and returned home, and like a lot of folks, went on to marry, kids, career. And decades later, when he should have been enjoying his golden years, he went to a park and committed suicide. We do not know, right? He did not leave a note. So, like any individual, his life was complex like all of our lives and had successes and challenges like all of us. So, we don't know for sure, but I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that an experience like that traumatic, I suspect had some impact on him in his life. And again, we don't know for sure. I was talking to my oldest brother today on the drive down, who lives in California, where my Uncle Don lived, so they were relatively close, and they'd spoken about his experience in some detail. We don't know for sure, but I've always felt that there has to be some kind of a line from that very traumatic experience to his decision to take his own life. And so, for that reason, we're, as a family, as you can imagine, suicide in our family was tremendously impactful for our families, as you can imagine, as would be for any family, and that's the Ferguson family is no different. That's why I'm especially grateful for everybody who's here and all the work that you do, right? That's just one person, one family, but hey, that was an uncle to me, right? A brother to my dad, brother-in-law to my mom. You get the idea, right? And that is extended out 17 times a day, 22 times a day, and the ripple effects are profound. So, anything I can do as governor to help you in the work that you're doing, we are ready to do it. David's ready to do it, and I'm really here today to say thank you to all of you for the important work that you do. And so it's really my honor to sign this proclamation today. And this is the governor's challenge, and it talks about, I won't read all the whereases, but discusses how suicide is a national public health challenge, and talks about the disproportionate number of veterans, of course, who commit suicide that we've all talked about, and the commitment we have as a state to addressing that issue. And at the end it says, now therefore I, Bob Ferguson, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim continued support for the implementation of the Washington State Governor's Challenge, and I urge all people in our state to raise awareness of behavioral health, suicide prevention, lethal means safety, and the support services available in our communities. Together, we must encourage those in need to reach out for help, hope, and community. And I'm really honored to sign this today, and I'm going to use 2 pens. Nicole, where is Nicole? Here you are. You're filming. There. One pen for you. Sorry to interrupt the filming. Yep. 1 pen for you, and the other pen will be for Larry. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks so much. Round of applause for both of them and all of you. Thanks so much, everybody. And let's take a couple photographs. Does that work?